All right, everybody, South Alabama Cooking is on the road, and we are in Houston, Texas. I'm at my daughter Rebecca's apartment, and I'm going to do some cooking here. So I want to get right into this recipe, and while I'm making it, I have a lot of things I want to talk to y'all about concerning this recipe, really. And so we're going to make Divinity. We've got the holidays coming up, and this is one of the candies that I make for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's get our ingredients in the pot. I need, first of all, let me turn this around. Here's my pot. And I need 2.5 cups of granulated sugar, pure cane sugar, to go in my pot, first of all. Now, Rebecca has a 5-gallon bucket of sugar sitting here in the kitchen floor, and I'm going to have to reach down here and dip it up into the pot. I cannot lift that 5-gallon bucket of sugar up here. So I'm going to reach down here. I'm going to get 2.5 cups of sugar, put it in the pot. I'm coming back, y'all. Okay, so I've got 2.5 cups of sugar. Now, I am using a 1/2 cup measurer, and that is the reason I'm doing that is because I need 2.5 cups of sugar. So 5 1/2 cups equals 2.5 cups of sugar. Plus, I need a 1/2 cup of water, plus I need a 1/2 cup of karo syrup. So that's the reason I'm using my 1/2 cup measurer. So let me get 1/2 cup of water. Let's turn this around here where you can see that. Okay, Beck's got this little handy dandy water filter thing here. So let me pour 1/2 cup of water. Okay, there's our 1/2 cup of water. Now I've got to have 1/2 cup of karo. Here's my karo. And these are the ingredients that we need to put together in this pot to make our syrup for Divinity. Okay, there's 1/2 cup of karo. Now, I get a spoon and I scrape all of this karo out of here because it's like I told you in another video that I did, that when you have specific ingredients for a recipe, you have specific measurements, it's important that you get your measurements correct. So I want to scrape all of this karo out of here so that I've got my 1/2 cup of karo in here. Now, a lot of my recipes that I cook, I don't have specific measurements that I go by. A lot of it is just pour and stir. That's what me and Rebecca call it. We put it together until it looks right and it tastes right. But now there are some recipes such as cakes, icings, candies, cookies. I have specific recipes that I go by, and I want to, specific measurements. And you have to make sure they're correct. Okay, so we're going to turn this burner on. And I have got a lot of cooking. Okay, I'm here on Rebecca's. This is Rebecca's stove. This is her kitchen. I'm not, totally familiar with everything here. So I've got to look at it, make sure I'm turning on the right burner. So let's get it around here. All right. I'm going to do the large burner, front, right. Okay, there we go. And I want it to be on medium high. I want to cook this on medium high. All right, yep, that burner's firing up. Let me pick it up just for a minute because I haven't mixed my ingredients together. So let me stir all of these ingredients real good. And here's a little black speck of something let me get that out. Okay, we've got that out. Now, this is actually a boiler, one of my boilers that I gave to Rebecca that she has here in her apartment. I gave her several pots and 1 or 2 frying pans. And this is the story on it, okay? I'll tell y'all this story while this stuff's cooking. This is the story on it. Rebecca come to my house, and she was looking in my cabinets for, you know, a skillet or a saucepan or something to cook something in. And she said, Mom, you have way too many pots and pans. You need to get rid of some of these. You need to take them to Goodwill, take them to the thrift store. You have way too many. So anyway, I really don't like to get rid of my cooking things, my pots and pans, but we were trying to downsize some. I had moved in there to the old home place where I was raised. Mom and Daddy had passed away, and it was left to me. And so we're trying to go through stuff and downsize and get rid of stuff that we don't need. And so I'm like, okay, Rebecca. And then, I don't know if it was in that same visit, maybe. Well, I offered her some of them. I said, do you want? I can give you a set of these pots and pans. I've got a set of Meemaw's pots and pans here. If you would like them, I could just give them to you. And that way, you know, I'm not taking them to the thrift store or something like that. I'm passing them down to family, you know. So that's what I did. I gave her a set of pots and pans. And so that's how I downsized some on my pots and pans. Now, this recipe that I am making, I need to tell y'all the background on this. I got this Divinity recipe back in the late 70s or maybe around 1980, something like that, 1979. And I got this recipe from an elderly lady in my church, the church that I grew up in, Turnerville Holiness Church. And this lady would make divinity for our pastor, and pastor's wife, Brother Donnie, Sister Gayla Williamson, would make divinity for them, and Brother Donnie just loved it. It was so, so good. And so he shared some, you know, with me, so I got to taste it, and it was just wonderfully delicious and marvelous. The best divinity I had ever had in my life. Of course, I was a youngin' back then, too. I was, you know, 18, 20, something like that. And so that's been a long time ago. And anyway, I talked with this lady in our church, you know, about the recipe and how that it was such a good recipe. And she gave me this recipe. Now, this lady, some of you who are watching this video, who are in our holiness movement, you'll recognize her name, and that is Sister Cora May Long, is the lady that I got this recipe from. So, anyway, I've used this recipe ever since, all down through the years, and I have never found any better divinity than what you can make with this recipe. So, I'm making this recipe today and giving the recognition to Sister Cora May Long. This is where I got the recipe from. This is not my own recipe. It come from that dear old saint of God, and I sure do appreciate it. So we've got our syrup here is cooking. Like I said, I've got it on medium-high. You just need to stir it a little bit along. Let me turn this around for you to see it. See, here it is. And then there's a few other things we're going to do while this syrup is actually cooking, and I've got a few other things that I want to tell you. and some tips I want to give you and some techniques that will help you to be successful in making divinity. Now, I have talked to more than one person, and they have told me, they've said, I just cannot make divinity. It doesn't turn out right. It won't harden up. It's just, you know, this soft blob. And so I've got some tips that I can give y'all to help you to make perfect divinity. Okay, looky here. It's boiling now. Now, I've never used this stove before, so I've got to watch what I'm doing here and be careful. I'm not sure. Better turn my heat down a tad because I'm not sure exactly about this burner. And so I've got a lot of candy to cook between now and Saturday, trying to help Rebecca out, get her candy ready for the farmer's market. She's going to the farmer's market on Saturday, and she's going to have a booth set up, and she's going to be selling candies, homemade candies, and crafts. And specifically on the crafts, it's macrame, and I am just laughing about this macrame because it has come back in style again. It was the style, it was the thing to make macrame purses and plant hangers, you know, when I was a teenager back in the 70s. And here it is again. So anyway, Rebecca has a website. It's called Sweetwater Candies and Crafts. So if you want to go check it out, you can go look at it. Now, she is selling the candy on her website. You can place an order. She'll ship it to you if you want some candy. And these candies that she is making, I taught her to make them. I passed these recipes down to her. And so now she's making them. So, you know, I'm a proud mom. Okay, I have another tip I want to tell y'all. You know what? Before I tell you this tip though, I better do something else. I need to get my egg whites separated out. And over here in this, look at this red mixer. This is a KitchenAid mixer. So I need to put 2 egg whites in here. So let's see, I've got to look around here, see, is there a bowl around here? Here we go, here's a bowl. Don't catch myself on fire. Okay, you get 2 eggs. Now, so while this syrup is cooking, I am going to set up other things that need to be done. So I need 2 egg whites in this bowl. So I'm going to put the egg white in here. And I have had, you know, like an egg separator in the past. In fact, I got a couple, 2 or 3 there at the house in Turnerville. But I just grew up, you know, separating eggs like this. So most of the time, this is what I do. This is the way I separate them. Now, if there's any white in there, I'm going to scrape that out with my finger. Okay, we've got one. Let's get another one in here. And you have to kind of work quick because while I'm doing this, my syrup is still cooking over there. And I can't let my syrup overcook or undercook. So I've got to get my eggs in here, my egg whites in here, run back over there, check my syrup, see how it's coming along, see if it's doing right, seeing if it's ready. Okay, there, let me scrape this out. Okay, I've got my egg whites in there. Rinse my hands off real quick. Okay, I need to look at this syrup and see what's happening here. Let me get turned around here. Okay, it's not going to be long and this syrup's going to be ready. So I have got to turn my egg whites on. They've got to start beating like immediately. Let me turn this down on low because this is just almost ready. And I don't really need it to cook a whole lot more. Okay, that's up in place. I need to put 2 tablespoons of sugar in with these egg whites. There's 1. Okay, here's 2. All right, let's get this going. All right, the mixer's going in the background. I have got to whip those egg whites up until they're stiff. Take a few minutes to do that. So everything's just kind of, we're going to wait a few minutes here, let everything cook, get ready. All right, I'll turn the video back on when the egg whites are ready. All right, there's a few other things that we need to do while the egg whites are whipping up. I just thought about them, so I'm getting back on here. We need to measure out our pecans. We're going to need 2½ cups of pecans. So let me turn this around over here to the counter, and I'm going to put pecans in this cup measure, and if you fill it up all of the way, that is approximately 2½ cups. So you want pecan pieces. Let me put them in here. Okay, there we go. Now, these pecans have, pecan dust on them. And that does not look good in Divinity, in white Divinity, to have all these little pieces of flecks of pecan dust. So what I do is I put them in a sifter, not a sifter, a colander, and I shake it over the trash and get all of that dust out of there. So that's what I'm fixing to do. So here's my colander. I'm going to put the pecans in there like that. Now, I'm going to take this over here, trash can. I'm just going to shake these pecans out real good. Okay, I've got the pecans shook out real good and they're ready to go. Okay, it won't be long and our egg whites will be ready. Now, I want to tell y'all about some vanilla. I want to tell you about some Mexican vanilla. Now, there are more than one brand of Mexican vanilla, but I have found a brand that is the best to cook with that I know of. In fact, Brother Dominic Milano is the one that first brought us some of this Mexican vanilla. And this is what it looks like. Right here, La Vencedora, that's what it's called. It's pure vanilla, and it has this little rooster, this little red rooster on the label here. And if you see this kind of vanilla, this kind of Mexican vanilla, this is what you want to get right here. Now, when I cook with this, I use half of what the recipe calls for because it's pretty concentrated. So I wanted to tell y'all about this. But see, I got this whole bottle for $10, and this is 31.79 ounces, and I got it for $10. And if you buy McCormick vanilla, pure vanilla out of the store, you'll pay $6 for 2 ounces maybe. So this is so cheap compared to trying to buy just regular vanilla out of the store. So I wanted y'all to see that, I want you to know about it. Okay, let me check my egg whites. Let's see how things are looking. Oh yeah, egg whites are ready. Okay, let's look at our, here's our syrup. I had taken the syrup off of the heat for just a few minutes because it was about to get done before my egg whites were. So let me get them back here on the heat and heat it up. And I want to tell you a tip of how to know when your syrup is ready. I got this tip from Sister Bating Enterton years ago. We were talking about how do you know when your syrup is ready to go in the egg whites. She said when it spins a thread, it's ready. Okay, so what you have to do is dip your spoon into your syrup and you pick your spoon up and you watch the drops of syrup dropping from your spoon, and you will see it turn into a little thread. There's a thread right there. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if I can get close enough for you to see it. I'm going to put it down here like this to see if you can see that. See if you can see it spin a thread. Okay, there's one. Let's try it again. There you go, there's a thread. There was a good thread right there. There you go, you see them little threads? Okay, I don't know if you could see that or not, but this syrup is ready. So now, let me see if I can pull this a little closer. Now I'm going to have to pour this syrup into this mixer while the mixer is going. And it's going to whip the syrup and the egg whites together. So I'm going to pour it on this side. You're probably not going to be able to see real good what I'm doing here. But you just pour it a little bit at a time into the egg whites. You let it whip it up. I'm going to scrape out the pot, what's left. Scrape it on over in there. All right, we've got it in there. Now, we're going to need to let this beat until it thickens up just a little bit. And we need to put our vanilla in it. I got to go get the vanilla. Okay, so this recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to put a 1/2 teaspoon because this is Mexican vanilla. So let me turn it off. You put this 1/2 teaspoon of Mexican vanilla in here. Let's turn it back on. Let it just kind of mix the vanilla in. And we are going to have to get in a hurry here because when this starts getting hard, we've got to get with it. We've got to get it dipped out. Okay, I'm going to turn this off and see how that it's doing. Stir it around a little bit. Let's see. Okay, we're going to take it out of here and just start stirring it with a spoon. If I can figure out how to get this bowl off of here, that is. Okay, there we go. And I've got to get this off of here. See, this is a KitchenAid mixer, and I've got a KitchenAid mixer, but this one is just a little bit different. Look at that. Woo! All right. Now, let's see how this is doing. Okay, we want to go ahead and put our pecans in here. You see this? See that? We need to put our pecans in it. Oh, let me turn this around where you can see it. We need to put our pecans in it and go to stirring it because it's starting to thicken up. If we're not careful, it'll be thick before I've got my pecans stirred in. Okay, I've got my pecans in there. That's good. Before it got too hard. Now, we want to just kind of stir it and let it start cooling down. And as it cools down, it will thicken up. Now, you can do this if you'll follow this recipe. You can do this. Now, I also want to tell you something else. And that is, people say that you cannot make candy when it's raining or when it's cloudy. When I first began to try to make candy, my mom told me that. She said, Denise, there's no need to make candy today because the weather's not right. And so I tried it anyway, and it worked. So I actually have a little short video of Rebecca making Divinity while it's raining outside. And so I'm going to try to insert that in this video if I can, so that you can see that you can make candy even if it's raining or cloudy. And I think what the thing was is that maybe years ago, when there was no climate control in our homes, and especially in the South, because it's so humid in the South. I mean, we can have 80, 90, 100% humidity, and that's common. And so I think it was because our homes were not air conditioned and not heated, and we couldn't control the humidity. We couldn't control the climate in the house. And I think that maybe that's the reason that candy would not make. But now that we have climate control in our homes, we can control all of that. And so the candy will make. That's just my theory on it. And that I think that's probably true. Okay, so let's turn around here again. Look at this candy. Oh yeah, it's starting to get a little thicker. We want to continue to let it cool and continue to stir it until that it will hold its shape when you dip it out. So, and it's getting there. It's getting to that point. Now, I'm going to take this tripod and I'm going to move it over here, because over here is where I'm going to start putting this candy out. So, I want to have this set up where you can see me dipping out the candy. Okay? See if I can get that where you can totally see the whole thing. I don't want to get too terrible far away. Maybe I'll get up closer and just dip it out kind of, well, I might not be able to see how to do that though. Okay, so I'm going to put it like that. Now let me go get my candy. All right, let's look at this candy. Still stirring it. It's going to make good candy, I can tell. But as it cools down, it will be perfect candy. So, I think I've told y'all all of the things I wanted to tell y'all. I had several things I just wanted to tell y'all about this candy. And I especially wanted to give honor to the lady that gave me this recipe, and she passed away years ago, but her recipe lives on because I have the recipe, and I have given it to some of her family members too that wanted it. Nisi, I can't remember Nisi's last name, but she She is, I'm not sure, maybe a niece to Sister Cora May, I'm not sure. And then Sister Helen Long is a daughter-in-law, I believe, to Sister Cora May Long, and she wanted that recipe. So Sister Helen Long, I hope that you see this video, and this is Sister Cora May Long's recipe. Okay, let's get back around here. Okay, it's just about, all right, I better start dipping this out. Let me scrape the spoon off. Now I'm going to use a spoon and a knife to dip this out with. It makes it go a whole lot faster and a whole lot easier. And speed in dipping this candy out, speed is important because the candy's getting hard in the bowl here. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if this is ready. To dip out, and it is. This is perfect. It is ready to go. Okay, I hope y'all can see what I'm doing. I might can get the video up a little bit closer. Let me see. Maybe that might be better. Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm not sure that that's better because of the angle I'm at. So let me get over here at a different angle to see if y'all can see what I'm doing here. Okay, see, I dip it with the spoon, then I scrape it off with the knife and let it drop into place. And you have to try to work as fast as you can because it's getting hard. See how it's holding its shape here? It's beautiful candy. Now, I have some other candies I'm going to make as well, and I will video them as soon as I can. I'm not sure that I can video them today because it takes a little time to get the video set up, you know, to get everything, the kitchen and everything set up. But I wanted to go ahead and do the video on the Divinity at least today. So we're getting that done, and I'm going to show y'all how to make, in future videos, I will show y'all how to make pralines. I'll show you how to make homemade fudge. I'm not talking about the fudge where you use the marshmallow cream and the chocolate chips. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fudge that you make. You use cocoa and sugar. You use water and karo and pecans and vanilla flavoring. That's kind of fudge I'm talking about. The old-fashioned homemade fudge. And Jean Wheeler is the one, she sent me a text and said, Denise, you ought to make the fudge. And I had already planned to do that anyway because I was wanting to make all of my Christmas candies for everybody to see. But yes, I'm going to make the fudge. All right, this is doing wonderfully. I've got probably about half of it dipped out. This usually makes, maybe 50 pieces, something like that. And in the past, I had a little business, a little candy cooking business that I would open it up at the beginning of November and take orders and make candy. And I had a pretty prosperous business, and I could still have it going today if I wanted to, but I don't really want to make candy for a business anymore. I just make it for the holidays for our family. Okay, it'll be a few more minutes dipping this stuff out. This is a good technique now, this knife and spoon, that works real well in getting the candy dipped out. All right, we are winding down here. Usually, when you get to the bottom of the bowl here with the candy, with the Divinity and with the pralines, there's usually enough candy left in the bottom of the bowl that doesn't have nuts in it, and you can scrape that up and make 1 or 2 pieces of candy without nuts. And if you have somebody that you know that does not like nuts in their candy, or they have diverticulitis and they cannot eat nuts, or something like that, then you can make them a few pieces of candy without nuts. And that's what I'm going to do here today. And when we go to that farmer's market, if anybody comes up and says, you know, I sure would like some of that candy, but I can't eat nuts, I'll just say, well, here we have some without nuts. Would you like a piece of it? Okay, that is our last piece of candy that I dipped out there with the nuts. Now, I'm going to scrape this bowl and show you what I'm talking about. Here's a nut right here. Let me put that somewhere. I'm going to scrape this bowl and show y'all what I'm talking about, how that you can come up with let me get over here where you can see it, how you can come up with a couple of pieces of candy with no nuts in it. Just scrape the sides of the bowl. Okay, I think I'm going to probably get maybe 1 piece with no nuts. Here's a little piece of nut. Let me get it off there and put it somewhere. Put it on a piece of candy here. Okay, let me scrape this out. We've got this piece here. And let me finish scraping out the bowl. And I believe that'll make us 1 piece of candy with no nuts. All right. Here we go. Let me put that down here. Now, let me taste this candy. That's good candy. And also, 7-minute frosting is very similar to making Divinity. Just a little different measurements. I think it's basically the same ingredients. Okay. It is just this simple to make Divinity. And I've given you a recipe, I've given you techniques, I've given you tips, and you should be able to make Divinity now for your family and for your holidays. One other thing I thought about is whenever you make your homemade candies, don't lay them out on wax paper. Lay them out on freezer paper. That's what I've got here. I've got freezer paper, and I've got it taped down on the 4 corners so that it won't roll up on me, so that it will stay out flat. And the reason I say don't use wax paper is because your candy, the pralines is really the main one. Now you can put Divinity and Fudge out on wax paper, but do not put pralines out on wax paper. Put them out on freezer paper, because if you put them on wax paper, it will melt the wax, and when that praline hardens up and you try to pick it up, that paper is going to be stuck to the bottom of your praline, and your pralines will be ruined, and you'll just have to throw them away. I learned that the hard way. I didn't know that, nobody told me that, but I learned that, and so I'm passing that on to you. Okay, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I am so glad that y'all were in the kitchen with me today. I love doing things like this. I love cooking candy, and I love sharing this with you all. And so y'all just be good, say your prayers, and we'll see you next time.